Welcome back. In this video, we'll start looking at the compositor. So we've got the lamp, we've got the text, we've got the texture, so that not all the text just shows up after the light has revealed it. And now we're going to just play around with the look. And so the compositor allows you to sort of put layers together. So if you think about a movie, the compositing stage is to sort of take the CG rendered backgrounds or foregrounds or objects and combine it with, say, the live action stars, depending on the situation, and putting those all together. And there's also the idea of balancing the light and so on, maybe color grading and doing a variety of things. And so that's what we're going to do here. So up in this part at the top here, there's different window settings. And so we're on the default one, which I typically use, but there's one for compositing and an animation and so on. So we're going to click on the compositing one there. And it brings up something that looks a little scary, this grid here. Don't worry, we'll go through this process. Basically, this is our camera view. If I press F12, it will render. And then up here, what we're going to do is use nodes. So we're going to put that in. And you can see we've got a render layer and a composite. I'm just going to click on them and pull them apart, give us a little bit more room here. And we can add different things in. So basically what it's saying, this is the render layer. And at the moment, the composite, there's nothing there. This is the end product here. Basically, it's just the render layer. And then we can add some things in between. One other thing that we'll do is we'll use what we've got here as our backdrop. So it should pop that out, I believe. Maybe when I re-render it. Oh, you know what? I just have to put the viewer in. We'll get that in a second. Okay, and you can set maybe auto render. I was finding it wasn't working. The idea is that if you switch the position, oh yeah, there we go. It auto renders this. So instead of having to always press F12, if you make a change here, you can see that reflected here, and it will change in here as well. What we need to do is add a viewer. So again, down here, there's all these adds, things that you can add. Notice that it's a little bit different. There's not objects here. These are all things you can use to change the appearance of your end product is when we finally render it. And you can see there's filters, so there's blurs. A lot of stuff that you might notice from Photoshop is sort of sitting in here. So first thing we're going to do is on the output, which makes sense, add a viewer. And so this just actually helps us see what's going on. So all I'm going to do is grab that thing. So I'm just left click there and just pull it across and plopping it in here. And what it does is right in here, we can actually see the render. Okay. Now, one thing that we're going to do is sort of create a bit of a lens flare effect. And so under this add again, and again, like there's so many different ones, it becomes a little bit difficult to figure it out. I believe under the, I gotta find it here. So under filter, there is a glare. And so there's no, there's no lens flare exactly. We're going to be using this one. And so, whoop, there it is. So there it is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if just using the middle mouse button, it will zoom in. And basically what we want to do is run this product through here. So I'm going to take the image, pop it into here. So now the image runs through here. And then the glare goes to there. And we also want it to go into here. So now it should re-render it and have a little bit. Now it hasn't changed too much because we've sort of got the basic settings. And so what we're going to do is from streaks, we're going to set it to ghost. Okay. And then we're going to play around a little bit with these things. The threshold. So, and you can see it made a big difference. One is actually doing nothing. 0.6 kind of gives us this little bit of a flare. I mean, again, you can play around with it and see what you think works better. Obviously, that sort of whites everything out, but you want sort of a bit more of a glare there. And so that 0.6 seems to work. The iterations, again, this is sort of quality. And again, it will take a little bit longer to render. Also seems to make it a little bit brighter there too. Color, I don't know what that does. Again, the neat thing is you can sort of see. I'm just going to press Control Z just to go back to how it was. And one, and the mix, and we're going to end up putting a mix in here. So we'll come back to that in a second. But that's sort of the idea. Okay, and again, you can move this over, and it should render here, and then it should update in there to get that effect. Okay, and it might be a little bit too much. Might go to whoops. Might be easier just to type in. There we go. All right, and again, it's just sort of up to you. Now, what we're also going to do is add a color mix just to get this to work a little bit better. So again, add color and a mix. Put this in. Okay, and so then I want this to go through here. So let me just make sure I get this right. So I'm going to add. So I'm actually going to put this mix. So let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, no, I don't want this one, sorry. Unless I can change it here. Yeah, oh sorry, I can change it right there. So I've got this add, now it's an add one. I'm going to move it up here. So what's going to happen is that I'm actually going to get this image to run through the add. And same with this one. So that goes, I've just got to make sure these are all going in the right spot. So the glare comes through here. Now the image is going to go into this bottom one here. So I'm going to pop this in here. And then this guy now is going to be our main one. So it's going to go in, viewer, and then there. Okay, now it's probably a little bit overdone at the moment. And so I'm just going to play with the factor here. I think I played with it and sort of had reduced it. Okay, so you've got some sort of a little bit of an effect there. And let's see here. I don't think I set the clamp, add factor, image. Yeah, sort of that effect. Now I'm just trying to see, I had more of a lens flare effect, like a little bit of an effect here. So I'm just going to see what that's doing. So the iterations, I wonder if I've just gone too high on that. Mod mix threshold. So I'm just playing around with some numbers here just to give a look. Okay, maybe. Let me just pause it here for a second and see. All right, so what I discovered is that the glare is actually sitting right here, the lens flare glare. So what we want to do is shift it a little bit. And so we need to do at least one thing, and I think two things will work out better. So under add, we're going to add two more nodes. And so what I'm going to do is under distort, we're going to scale it. I'll just put that there. And while we're at it, let's just under distort as well, translate. And there it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glare and I'm going to run it through the scale. So I'm actually going to delete this guy here, pull that off. So don't worry about that. And then I'm going to run it through the translate as well. So it's going to scale the glare, it's going to translate the glare, and then once it's done that, we'll add it together as we did before. And so that will take it back to how it was. There's no changes here. So what I found is that we can just sort of scale it a little bit. So change it, actually we'll move it first, and then we'll just play around with the scale. So what I found is if we want to move it sort of left or right, if I went 300, you can see there's the lens flare. It's just hiding behind there. So that's what it's moved over. Maybe a little too far away. 200. I think it might be better on this side. Just sort of as a lead. It leads your eye a little bit. So if we move this over here, so I don't see it. Well, although I see some stuff here, which is kind of neat. Okay, so there's sort of a lens flare that we didn't see before. As we come over, okay, there's those ones there. As we come over further, I guess a little bit more distinct, I guess, as the light. So yeah, I think that's kind of neat. I guess the lens flare in itself is kind of static. and then it shows up. So that looks pretty good there. I don't know, I didn't change the scale. You could play around with the scale and see what happens. But that's basically our settings. So now we've got a slightly different look, okay, with that lens flare in there. And again, you can play around with this with your heart's content here. There's so many different things. Like I said, I'm not really an expert in this section. I just sort of started to play around with it and trying to improve my understanding. And so feel free to spend a bit of time and see what else you can do. It looks more complex than it really is. It's basically just adding each of these nodes and then connecting them through. And as you can see here, this scale and translate affect the glare. And then we're basically adding those two images together and then outputting it. So that's kind of the thing. We're just adding these layers of complexity. Okay, so we're almost done. And I think in the next video we can get this done. We just need to look at actually animating the light, which is going to be pretty easy because it's just going to go straight across. And then we just need to render it. And we're done. You'll have your video. Okay, so we'll end here and see you in the next and last video.